One of the things I've noticed a lot is that the fingers on our hands tend to be kind of interconnected with each other across the body. So when we try to do something with the index finger on our right hand, our left hand wants to also do something with the index finger. Just try this little experiment with me and you'll see what I mean. So starting with your thumb, go thumb, index, middle, ring, pinky, like that, just in a sequence like that. It's really easy when you're doing the same fingerings. Now switch it so that you're starting with the pinky on your right hand, but still starting with the thumb on your left hand, so you go opposite directions. If you're like most people, that's not nearly as easy as it is to do the other way around. So what this illustrates is that we have some connectedness between our two hands that we want to work on breaking down. And there are a lot of exercises in this video that are going to really focus on that aspect of two-handed tapping independence. Okay, before we get into playing any kind of bass line, what I want to do is talk about how to develop hand independence, how to separate the hands from each other through the use of an external time reference, or what I call an external time base. And what I mean by that is that having an external reference point that each hand can relate to so that they don't have to relate to each other. This I find to be a really helpful strategy when you're trying to play independent parts on the stick. So what I want to start out with is finding what that ideal reference point is going to be for each of us, which is it's a very personal kind of a choice. Like some people like to tap their foot, other people like to bob around, some people like to nod their head. To me, the best choice was to tap the left foot because it helps to reinforce the timekeeping aspect of the left hand. And as I started to work with guitar players and bass players over the years, one thing I noticed was that their right hand was so dominant in terms of what was happening on the board. And a lot of them tapped their right foot. And this just reinforced the dominance of the right hand, and it made it impossible for the left hand to develop its own kind of relationship to the music as a whole and to function independently. It was always taking cues from the right hand. So I'd like to suggest, especially if you're a guitar player or a bass player, that you give your left hand a chance to catch up and start tapping your left foot. So you can do some certain things to practice that, just to get used to the idea. If it feels a little strange at first, one of them is if you're driving your car and you're listening to music that has a regular beat to it, just consciously kind of tap your foot along with the beat as you're driving along. I find this really helps just to get used to the physical process of relating your foot to the time of the music that you're listening to. Now, how does that work in terms of what we're doing with our hands? Well, one thing we want to make sure of is that we're not tapping the same exact beat in terms of the subdivision of the beat that we're playing with our hands. So if I'm playing quarter notes in my left hand, I don't want to have my foot tapping at the same exact beat because there's no relationship there. It's an exact correspondence. And so I'm just... And that's just going to make the left hand too dominant in terms of what's going on with the right hand. So if I'm going to play quarter notes in my left hand, 1, 2, 3, 4, I want to be tapping half notes with my foot. So I want to go... You'll notice that I'm really concentrating on getting used to that idea of hand movement as the way to generate the energy to drive the notes. So I'm playing a C. And I can play eighth notes as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, I'm just trying to get into that sweet spot, just behind the fret with every note. I can't really feel the backside of the fret on this C because the string is too thick, but I can feel it if I'm playing a G. Easy to feel. So I'm playing my first finger on the downbeats here. That's a very strong instinctive reaction to lead with our first finger. We don't always want to do that when we're playing, though. Sometimes we want to be able to lead with our second finger playing the downbeat. So let's see how that feels. And before I start, I want to make sure that I get my time bass going before I do anything with my hand, so that my hand is relating to the time bass. So I'm going to count myself in 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to do it again with my first finger on the downbeat. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, so repeated notes are easy to do in terms of getting the hand movement going. Let's try to play a little bit of this with some different kind of intervals just to see how that feels. So again, I get my time bass going, and I'm going to play just half steps across the strings and back. So I'm just going to start on the low E, and I'm going to switch from string to string. And again, I wouldn't have to necessarily use hand movement to play these notes. I could play them just with my fingers and keep my thumb locked in one place. But I'm trying to cultivate that feeling of hand movement along the string, because I believe it's going to give me much more rhythmic confidence and much more precise timing and just a big fat bass sound because there's more energy going into the string. More energy in means more vibration and a bigger sound coming out. So again, I get my time bass going. I'm going to start on this E, and I'm going to go 1, 2, ready, go. And again. Okay, so hand movement is going to also take care of the release of the notes. As I'm descending, not only do I get a nice, strong, consistent attack on every note, but I don't have to worry about lifting up my finger before I play the next note. The hand movement's going to take care of that for me. So here's my time bass. 1, 2, start with the second finger on the F. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, great. So now I'm practicing playing downbeats on my second finger. I'm also practicing a bunch of different interval combinations. As I'm going up, I'm practicing ascending half steps. I'm also practicing an ascending tritone. Okay, or flatted fifth. Now when I'm going down, I'm practicing different intervals. I'm practicing going down by a minor sixth. So let's try the same thing, but this time let's use the second and the third fingers. And we're just going to, again, be practicing those same intervals that we just talked about, but using a different combination of fingers. So here we go. We're going to start with the second finger. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, now, if I try to do that with my fingers alone, well, it starts to really show up in my forearm just how much work that is. Whereas if I'm going to do it with my arm, I spread the work out and give the responsibility to the large muscles in my arm, and it makes it a lot easier to play, supporting the fingers with hand movement along the line of the string. So let's try a larger interval now. Let's try playing a whole step. So we're going to go from F to G now, right there. And first we'll start ascending with F as the downbeat, and then we'll do the pattern in reverse, starting with G on the second finger. So here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. now we'll switch it up. Start with the second finger on the G. 1, 2, ready, go.